So today we'll start with a case study. Before we start with this case study, let me explain to you how we are going to handle this. So I'm going to share with you a particular case. Now everyone's circumstances are unique. Am I right? So in Krishna consciousness, we learn the principles and we have to use our intelligence to apply those principles in respective circumstances. Am I right? In that sense, we cannot give canned solutions. In other words, suppose in a particular family, they are used to eating non-veg and somebody has started practicing Krishna consciousness and he is intending to be a vegetarian and there is some element of friction in the family. Now, there are so many parameters involved in that equation, am I right? What are the various parameters involved which may vary from one family to another? Can anyone help me with an answer? What are the parameters involved? Let's say this particular scenario, somebody is given up non-veg but the entire family regularly takes non-veg and there is an element of some kind of a friction, misunderstanding. Nahi, you should take it. No, I will not take it. What is wrong? Why you're going there? What's wrong? All along we have been taking. It's part of our family tradition. So what are the parameters which may vary from family to family? Give me examples.
Personal choices.
It could be, let's say the entire family right from generations have been non-vegetarians. So all of a sudden one person is becoming. So how deeply they are entrenched in that habit could be one. There could be some families who have just started eating because of social this thing few years back and it's okay if somebody gives up. So that is one parameter. What else? Health-wise, okay, no, not be. So
they believe, it may be right or not, but they...
Okay, they believe that, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so it is optional. So it's not so deeply entrenched in a family. So every family situation will be unique. So we have to use our intelligence how to apply those principles intelligently so that we don't completely alienate the environment. We have to live there, right? We cannot just completely step out of the family and say, okay, so how do we intelligently maneuver and apply the principles? Now, when we are going to discuss a particular case, although we might suggest that this person can do like this or he should do like this, we have to still use intelligence before executing it in our scenario. Right? Understood? Is this concept clear? Why I am giving this disclaimer is somebody should not say, Prabhuji, aapne bola tha, dekho kya ho gaya. So every circumstances is unique, every person is unique. Just like Krishna says, there are 5 factors of action. So even in applying the principle, there are many parameters which are involved. How you deal with that situation. With what tone you explain. One can be very rigid, no, I will not do it, and speak in the other thing with a little more trying to accommodate, try to understand, try to make them understand. Like that. So the tone with which a person speaks, how we try to think of, without alienating them. No doubt there could be some element of friction. So we'll deal with this case. So let's start. Vishal is regularly attending Gita Live sessions on Sundays. Okay. His family is not very happy with this as he has started spending more time chanting and reading Bhagavad Gita and watching devotional videos. Vishal has also turned vegetarian when his entire family are non-vegetarians. He has also taken a commitment to chant 16 rounds daily and spends close to 2 hours daily in his commitment to chant 16 rounds. However, his family and friends feel alienated from him and he is no longer a part of the parties and get together. Even when he joins them, he finds himself lonely as he no longer enjoys such parties. His friends and family try to talk him out of this. His wife and kids are concerned of Vishal's behavior as he is slowly getting detached and also has started contributing funds to HKM. Sone pe suhaga. Tough case. In spite of the stress and tensions at home, Vishal seems to be more happy and content to follow the spiritual path. He doesn't want to give up his family or friends, but there is a clear disconnect and he is being considered as abnormal. Is he on the right track? Should he do what his family wants and keeps his spiritual journey for after 60 years? He is just 45 years right now. Does he listen to his friends who say God has made life to enjoy, let's party by drinking and eating? How can Vishal maintain both his spiritual growth and his family and friends' happiness? So let us, so those who have joined late, I'll just repeat the disclaimer. Every situation, every circumstance is unique. So although we may discuss some principles, but application of the principles have to be very intelligently done. So in other words, what might be the right thing to do in a particular scenario may not be the right thing to do in another scenario. That's where Krishna also says that this Krishna consciousness, Buddhi Yoga, we have to very intelligently, with seeking guidance from experienced person, execute the principles. The idea is that we don't unnecessarily alienate someone or completely disturb the whole equation in the family. That's not the idea. But still, we understand that this path, following this principle, is important. Now, if that is creating some friction, some kind of a misunderstanding, how to intelligently handle this is what we are trying to learn here. So, now we are going to discuss. So what we'll do now is each one of you can raise your hands and suggest what Vishal should do or not do. I'll make note of points wherever required. I'll also pitch in. And let's see if we can have a fruitful discussion. Yes. We'll go point by point, right? We'll have many points so everyone can contribute. So your main point in this thing is he has to compartmentalize, which means to say that he can have some time for that spiritual activity and other times he should be normal. Okay, so you are saying that if you are a grihastha and you have family commitments, we have to strike a healthy balance and if possible compartmentalize, in the sense there is some time which is meant for chanting and spiritual activities, do that, and also go for other family commitments, parties, and other activities. One minute. Parties where booze is served, is that okay to? Yeah, these days a lot of people they're quite clear about their choices. They're vegans and they very, very openly, very forcefully they say, I don't take curds, I don't take milk, and we have to respect their choices. Yeah, okay. So you're saying compartmentalize. I want some more points. I'll first note down the points and then we will discuss. Yes, Deepak. Buy in. So what you're saying is he should try to explain what he is doing, why he is doing, and make them understand. Okay, just a little bit of input on this. What if they're not okay with it? He's tried his best to explain, but they're not okay with it. They're saying, "Kyun every Sunday you have to go 2 hours?" Okay, chanting हम भी करते हैं. We also do puja part, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay, 15 minutes कर लो. Why 1 hour, 1.5 hours? God listens, please understand. God listens. 5 minutes में वो समझ जाए, वो बहरे नहीं है. 2 घंटे Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare. You just with devotion you do for 5 minutes, he'll listen. Whatever prayer is there, you offer and do your main business. What if the family is of that mood and he says, why you have to? He has tried explaining, but वो नहीं समझ पा रहे. स्वामी जी बोलते हैं अब करो, वो बोलते हैं नहीं करो, तो क्या वो तो आदमी फंस गया ना बीच में. So he should try to explain and then be firm on this, because knowing that what he's doing is not wrong, the person is not trying to understand for whatever reason, he should be firm. If it leads to conflict, quarrel in the house. By the way, I don't want any confrontation here. Okay, let's not, please do not, no, don't mind, let's not. Here we will talk about this. Let's not say he is Vishal or she is this thing. Here, let's understand the principles. Okay, that's why Vishal is a name which none of you are, here. Otherwise, I could have kept Nitin. So let's understand the principle without being this thing. As to what we can do. Is there some additional insight we can take home? I'm sure you all are trying your best to handle such scenarios, but is there additional insight, something which is missing in the equation which we can understand and apply in our life? So you're saying that we should also respect their desires, their choices. They want us to drink once in a while. So, okay, so here scenario is a little tough. The family wants him to eat non-veg, also have drinks, come with him in the parties. So can he do that also to keep the family happy is a question. Very good point, I agree with this. When we find some kind of an alienation, we have to be little patient. There's a principle called seek first to understand, then be understood. This is one of the principles. It's from a book called 7 Habits. Just for your information, I am not a big fan or follower of Stephen Covey, but nevertheless, let me tell you how this book became popular. Stephen Covey, he, along with his wife, went on a sabbatical and stayed next to a sea beach for 2 years. And his objective was to introspect, to ruminate, to study, and to also figure out what he did. Along with him, he took 200 years of success literature. Self-help books, how to win happy, good friends, how to influence people and this thing. And so many Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, so many bestsellers who have been there. So last 200 years, all the books he took along with him. And 2 years, it was all about reading, digesting, introspecting, walking on the beach, trying to understand what are the common underlying principles in all the books. So in that sense, it was not just, study something somewhere, little bit apply mind. So it was a lot of deep introspection, trying to figure out what is the underlying common thread in all these books. And that's how this book came out, 7 Habits of Effective People. And one of the habit, the very fact that it is mentioned as one of the habit means that this is something which is common in all the self-help books, which is a very important principle, and that is seek first to understand, then be understood. So quite possible we could be little brash in, you need to understand me, because I am convinced of this thing, or for that matter, we could be little impatient that the person should also follow what I am following. I remember a case, this I think I have shared earlier. There was a person in Bangalore, I don't want to name the case. This person was regularly coming to our session, and he even started chanting 16 rounds. His wife was not at all interested, it seems. It appeared so. And only on festival time, sometime she might come, and she also had some inclination on classical music and all that. So this person, although he was coming, he was quite patient with his wife, and once in a while he would say, this is the thing, what is happening in the house. Little bit he would keep us informed and all that. But he was a little patient, didn't really force his ideologies or his thinking upon her. And once in a while, kept calling him for her for the festivals and all that. And one thing he did, which later on he told me, was every day he would, because in the house he cannot offer food because he's not cooking food, he is going for office. So every day morning in this thing, he would keep a glass of water for offering to the Lord in the altar with tulsi. And very religiously he would mix that water in that water can, which was a drinking water can where the whole family would drink. And slowly, little by little, there was a change, and she started involving in some kind of seva in the temple. On festivals she would sing and all that. And today, you won't believe, she chants 16 rounds and she is more committed than him. This time when I went to Vrindavan, she was there. Then for me it was a big shock. I mean, with tilak and with this thing and chanting mala and Prabhuji, how are you? We miss, you used to come to this thing. Do you recognize? All the kind of things. So then I said, how this? And then she also remembered, Prabhuji, you remember when we came and met you, you were trying to somehow indirectly nudge me to chant and all that, and I was quite reluctant. So slowly, sometimes we have to give little time. We cannot thrust our understanding on other people because every Atma is unique. Every Atma is at a different level of their spiritual journey. There are 4 lakh species, they are basis the evolution of consciousness. We cannot force an Atma which is at this level, no, you have to come to this level. So we have to give time, and if we try to be very pushy, okay, this is what I want and this is what will happen in the house and come what may, I will do this. If we try to be pushy, there could be an element of alienation which can result in a lot of confusion. More resistance, people. So we have to be a little patient with our family members. With family members, we should not try to force them also to be Krishna conscious. We can do our duty as a matter of duty, we can tell them. The other day I mentioned Prabhupada's wife was not Krishna conscious. She was drinking tea, coffee. She sold the manuscripts of Bhagavad Gita which she had written before it had to go for printing as a raddi. Can you believe that? So Prabhupada was patient with her. So there will be such scenarios because now the principles are correct, mind you. What we are teaching, what we are talking is an authorized thing. Chanting 16 rounds is an authorized thing. To be a vegetarian is a right thing. But what happens when in a family there are, so all are individual souls. What happens if all of them are at a very different levels of consciousness? Okay, to maintain parities, either this person should come down, knowingly take poison, janiya, suniya, vishya, khaino. Okay, he goes to the party, drinks and also eats non-veg, the family will be fully happy, no problem, no fights, no alienation. So does he come down to that level, or he expects that family should come to his level so that there is complete resonance? So this problem comes because all of us are at different levels in our spiritual growth. Everyone is at a different level. How many levels are there? How many levels of spiritual consciousness is there? 7. How many levels of spiritual consciousness is there? Four levels? Four levels? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. How many levels are there? 7. Anybody less than 7? 3 gunas, 3 levels. Okay. Anybody else with a different answer? Jashri ji, how many levels of spiritual consciousness? 5. Rajiv ji? 4. Mahapatra ji? 5. Yes. Huh? 4 lakhs is the answer. 4 lakhs. There are 84 lakh yoniya. You all know that? 84 lakh species. Out of 84 lakh species, 4 lakhs are human beings. It is not basis our gender, it is not basis our nationality, it is not that all Indians are one species or all human beings are one species. This 4 lakhs is basis gradation of consciousness, how much we are spiritually evolved. On the bottommost spectrum of this 4 lakhs is complete uncultured aborigines who have nothing to do with religion, God consciousness. They're almost like animals. Eat raw flesh, cannibals. They are also human beings. And the topmost of the spectrum is complete, pristine, pure, self-controlled, pure character, completely God conscious, completely devoted, completely surrendered, Paramahamsas. You see, right now in our class also, somebody will be chanting 1 round. Somebody will not be chanting, once in a while coming. Somebody coming twice in a month. Somebody coming once in 6 months. Somebody chanting 16 rounds. Somebody chanting 4 rounds and once in a while, drinking also. You see that gradation? Yes or no? Even among ourselves, if we were to ask each one of us, every one of us would be practicing this to different degree, with different commitment. Some people don't want to compromise. They want to practice it very systematically and very sincerely. Some people, it's okay. Wahan gaye to wahan ka. Okay, what is that saying in Hindi? Huh? Jaisa desh, vaisa desh. Yes. Ganga gaye, Ganga. So this level of consciousness, 4 lakhs. Now, if 4 lakhs is there, now somebody is, let's say, assuming that if we were to grade it, somebody is at, assuming it is 0 to 4 lakhs, somebody is at 2,52,544, assuming, and somebody is at 100, there will be a big gap. Now you may say that I can explain to that person, but the person cannot understand why you are doing what you are doing. I gave this example, it's a very important example, please hear carefully. When a child is playing in the house, what he generally does, like that child who is just about, what is his age? 3 years. Okay, much lesser, much younger, maybe 1 year old. So just keeps moving around, crawling in the house and puts everything in the mouth. Okay, pen is there, put the pen in the mouth. You see a timepiece, you put in the mouth. So for that child, 1 year old who's putting everything in the mouth and tasting whatever the item, if he puts the timepiece in the mouth, and if he were to give his judgment about what is the timepiece, good or bad, what judgment will he pass? It is tasteless, it is bad, and he will throw it away because maja nahi aaya. Am I right? That valuable timepiece he will throw away because it doesn't taste well. He is a 1 year old child. He just throws away. For him, a lollipop is much more valuable than a timepiece because it has taste. Now, can a father explain to that 1-year-old child that this timepiece is more valuable than this lollipop? Can he explain? According to child, that is waste. This is more valuable, more interesting, more tasty. He is not mature enough to understand that this timepiece is much more valuable. You throw, I'm just giving an example, again a crude example, you throw a 500 rupee note in front of a pig. He is also an Atma. No way he can value that. You give halwa to a pig, it will run away towards the stool. Because that is his consciousness. So this alienation happens mainly because there's a big gap. And to a large extent, you cannot bridge that gap. You cannot bridge the gap. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he was a great devotee, but his father was a demon. Hiranyakashipu. He says, why are you chanting the names of God? And to some extent, he disobeyed the father. And he is called a Mahajana. I'm talking about a principle. Are you with me on this? Why this alienation happens? No doubt a person seek first to understand, then be understood. We can apply that principle. But in spite of a person trying to explain his point of view, his perspective, his understanding, the other person is way below, way below, way below. He cannot understand. Just like a child cannot understand that this timepiece is valuable. Then that problem comes. Now, very intelligently, knowing, first we should know theoretically why this gap is coming. Then knowing that this gap exists because of this reason, we very intelligently maneuver and do the best we can in that scenario. Neither this person is wrong because what he is doing is authorized. It is recommended in our scriptures. It is meant to be done in human form of life. To be a vegetarian is not wrong. In the parties where everyone is drinking and womanizing or doing something, this thing, a person will feel uncomfortable. Because he has risen to another level of thinking and consciousness. For him it looks quite childish and frivolous. No doubt, being in a family, he should attend that party. I cannot completely alienate, cannot completely say no to it, but I'm just saying why this difference exists. And to a large extent, that family members may not be able to understand, even if he tries to explain. That's how this problem arises. Okay, having any other point, any other thing you would like to share?
Other people.
So the point here she is making is that the person should not act fanatically with half-baked knowledge. And with that half-baked knowledge, try to push his understanding on others. So himself have a good understanding and then try to convince them. But in case of Vishal, it is quite evident that he has started getting very deep into it. Okay, tell me one thing. How do we define fanatism? A chanting 16 round is fanatism?
No, you can do it. You can do it all. But lot of people show it to the world that I'm doing this. You can do it silently. If I want to do 16 rounds, I don't have to advertise in front of my family, my solar round 30, solar round 30.
But family is saying. Family is saying.
No, you have to plan your time accordingly.
Chupa chupi.
Chupa chupi. But yeah, many a times that is also needed, Swamiji. That is also needed because you are not causing harm to anyone.
I agree with this. Sometimes, for example, there was a time when I used to just, without alienating, go on the terrace and chant. Or go out for a walk and chant. Little bit, we'll have to consider the person's. Actually, what I told in the beginning, it's very important because everyone's situation is unique. There's so much dynamics, involved. Everyone's family, everyone's situation will be unique. Now, for example, we can confidently say he can just recuse himself and do independently, but there could be a scenario where family is not allowing that to happen. While we do that, we should not try to force our views and understanding on others. We should not try to force, because as I mentioned, everyone is at a different level. They will take time. We cannot short circuit that process of they evolving. Okay, good point. So this triggers a very important discussion. Initially, just like when marriage also happens, there is a phase in which you are understanding the other person's likes, dislikes, what is acceptable to him, what is not acceptable to him. And after that so-called, I've not gone through it, but nevertheless I've heard, after the so-called honeymoon period, 1 year can be turbulent, where, saas se nahi ban raha, all that adjustment is happening and all that. Again, it's theory for me. And then we try to reconcile and accept कि ठीक है वो ऐसे हैं, उनको चाय में ज़्यादा चीनी चाहिए, डाल के दे दो, लड़ाओ मत उनसे. So you accept, and then slowly things fall in place. Am I right? So even in Krishna consciousness, when we come, there will be a phase where there will be misunderstandings. Many times the problem comes when we think that this emotional misunderstanding or that trauma or whatever you call it will last for eternity. It will not last. Even this confusion, slowly that Vishal family members will understand that, okay, it is his priority, this is how he is, this is what he likes, okay, give him that space. Initially they would like to pull him. Why not? That they are doing their duty. And slowly, as passage of time, they will understand, okay, this is what he wants, okay, Sunday he wants to go, let him go. Morning में 2 hours he wants to do, let him do. And they will also understand, okay, I'm sure they will not going to change, I will not speak to them. Why unnecessarily agitate them by always talking to them and making them come for the session? If they don't want to come, leave them. Just like Prabhupada, okay, she wants to drink tea, okay, let her drink. So I'm sure there won't be daily fights happening. So there is a phase where for family also, why he is doing, what is he doing, they're not able to understand. For this person also, on one side he is getting convinced of this message, the other side, they have a family who is at a different level of spiritual growth. So there would be some confusion for a time. With understanding, I think it might settle down.
Then they eventually put it on Bhagwan.
This is very interesting. भगवान जब हमारे को करवाएंगे, हम कर देंगे. Why don't you come for Gita Life? If God calls me, I'll come. बुलावा नहीं आया. See, one very important thing which we have to learn is when we try to argue or, for example, explain to someone, we have to very, very intelligently judge what is his. Is he listening to understand or is listening to refute? Sometimes it's not the problem with your arguments. It's a problem that you have not assessed the person properly. In other words, the person, there are people whom you say, okay, why are you not taking non-veg? It's okay. Oh, is it? It's written in scriptures. Can you please show me that? That person may be in a mood to understand. And there are people where no matter how, while you are speaking and giving an argument, see, Tolstoy also was this thing, Mahatma Gandhi also was this thing. He is getting ready with his next point. So there are 3 kinds of devotees which are mentioned in our scriptures. One is called Uttamadhikari, pure devotees. One is called Madhyamadhikari. Madhyama means middle. And then one is called Kanishtadhikari. Kanishtadhikari means he is neophyte. Neophyte devotees, Kanishtadhikari, faith is very feeble. Now, most of us are which adhikaris? How many of us are uttamadhikari? Please raise your hands. How many of us are madhyamadhikaris? How many of us are kanishta adhikari? See, so humble souls are here.
Or fluctuating between Kanishta and Madhya.
Okay, so kanishta adhikari, his faith is very komala, tender. It is recommended that when a person is kanishta, first he should work on consolidating his faith. Because sometimes when a person who is very forceful in his arguments, we can get swayed. So kanishta adhikari, he should first consolidate practice, grow himself, be more convinced. Adho shraddha tata sadhu sangha bhajan kriya anartha nivriti nishtha. He reaches a faith where he has conviction in what he is doing. He has the right understanding. He has the right conviction. Now, madhyamadhikari, he actually is a person who discriminates. There are four kinds of people. One is non-devotees, atheists. He discriminates. He discriminates between the devotees. They are non-devotees. And very intelligently he preaches to them or relates with them. Uttamadhikari, the highest devotee of Paramahamsa, actually does not discriminate. He thinks that everyone is a devotee, I am not a devotee. He thinks everyone is Pandita, Samadarshina, everyone is equal. Everyone is good. So Uttamadhikari devotee actually for the sake of preaching comes to the level of Madhyamadhikari and preaches. Because when we have to preach, some element of discretion or discrimination is required. I think I gave this example. One time there was a person in our temple here in Bangalore. He came and, he was a Christian who came to the temple. A lot of visitors come, tourists comes. So he visited, I was taking him around and showed him, Narasimha temple and then Balaji temple, and then we went upstairs and showed him Radha Krishna. At one point of time, I could see he was getting a little worked up. He says, you have 5 temples, why don't you have a temple for Jesus also here? And I said, okay, here we have, like that there are so many gods, we cannot have everyone. No, but Jesus is very important God. So then instead of arguing, I said, yes, in the next phase we are planning. So he was quiet. Next expansion will happen, we are planned actually. So he was quiet. I mean, there's no point in now opening the whole thing and says, why we can't have a Jesus temple there? So little bit we'll have to discriminate. Who is at what level, what he will be able to fathom, what he can understand, what he will not understand. Little bit we have to use our intelligence. We cannot have a canned solution. Canned solution means, ये जाके बोल दो आप, बस देखा जाएगा. वही बोलोगे, एक फैमिली में कुछ और रिजल्ट होगा, दूसरे फैमिली में बोलोगे कुछ और रिजल्ट होगा. Yoni does not mean you are not stagnant to one species in one lifetime. That is real progress. All other material progress is like horizontal progress. You are in the same species but oscillating left, right, left, right. Your wealth is increasing. Your social status is increasing, but everything is temporary. It is like a pendulum. It seems to be moving but no progress. It's just going horizontally, left, right, left, right. So all material progress is like a pendulum. Punarapi janma, punarapi marana. One life you're a millionaire, next life you're a pauper. Next life you're a millionaire, next life you're a pauper. Here PhD, next life LKG. PhD, LKG. What is real growth is, in 4 lakhs, where have you headed? What is real growth is, you started off with 3,23,000, whatever that number in terms of species, and you have moved up. That is growth. Because that growth is permanent growth. It comes with you life after life. Next life you start from that level and move ahead. Yeah. So good point. It says that we talked about different levels in the 12th chapter where a person is completely surrendered to Krishna, always remembering. Then Krishna says, we cannot do this thing. Be my devotee and do my work. If you cannot do this, okay, give in charity, all the same. Again, you can classify in different ways. You can classify in different ways. Like for example, now the IPL is going on. Okay, here this is Chennai, this thing. Next game they'll be classified differently. Okay, these are Indians, these are Australians. You get what I'm saying? So I thought of this example. It may not be the right, accurate example, but just I'm saying you can classify things differently at different times. Broadly speaking, consciousness-wise, just I gave you example. Even in this hall, although most of us are regular to Krishna consciousness, how many levels are there? Am I right? Of our commitment? Some are chanting 4 rounds, following Ekadashi. Some are following Ekadashi, not chanting. Some are chanting 1 round. Some are chanting 2 rounds. But TV भी देखते हैं, IPL भी देखते हैं, सब कुछ देखते हैं. Some are chanting 4 rounds, but ये देखते हैं, वो नहीं देखते, ये खाते हैं, वो नहीं खाते. So many levels are there. Like that, there are 4 lakhs levels. The bigger the gap, and more so in the same family, the bigger the problem. And that's why if in the same family, both the members are practicing more or less at the same level, it becomes very congenial. The point here is, what if we hear that we have to chant rounds, we have to also read, we have to also follow Ekadashi Vrata, we have to, what else? What else we hear? We have to follow the 4 regulative principles, we should not take non-veg, we should also avoid intoxicants. So is it okay that one can chant 16 rounds and once in a while take beer and social this thing and may not, okay, no intoxication ka nahi follow kiya, and Ekadashi maybe also we take grains, it's okay, but chanting bhi chal raha hai, Gita life bhi chal raha hai, so can we do that or we have to follow everything in toto? Okay, so I'll first complete this thing. Now we have been prescribed some principles. Okay, do this, do this, do this, don't do this, don't do this. See, just like igniting fire. If we want to ignite fire and have good fire, what do? We follow the do's and don'ts. One is, if we have to ignite fire, we put ghee at the right interval, at the right time, right quantity. Am I right? There are certain don'ts also. What are the don'ts? Don't put water in it. Now, all the rules which have been prescribed in our scriptures, these are basically to ignite the fire of bhakti or devotion in God. So there are some do's, some don'ts. Now, if we do not follow, we follow only some do's. For example, we are igniting fire and we are fanning it and putting ghee also. And we are also somehow not convinced of the idea that we should not put water. And we decide, थोड़ा चलता ना, पानी डालने दो ना क्या? Then it can undo what you are doing, and you might find, इतना मैंने आग लगाया, इतना मैंने फूका मारा, finally it is all smoke. There is no fire. And family members also say, क्या आपने इतने साल से जा रहे हो वैसे के वैसे ही वापस है. Because it is like pouring water. That's why we have to be little clear what we want in life. ये भी कर लेते हैं, 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 पर कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा. Because you're trying to pour water in the bucket, and bucket has big holes. Finally, there is no water in the bucket. तो लोग भी बोल रहे हैं नलका क्यों चलाया हुआ है आपने? It's leaking. What is the leakages? Breaking the principles are leakages. थोड़ा ये खा लेते हैं, ठीक है पार्टी में क्या है, नॉन वेज एक वो थोड़ा हो जाएगा, मैंने थोड़ा मुर्गा मारा है उसको, मरा हुआ था ऑलरेडी. So what is wrong? I mean, एक बार खा लिया तो क्या होगा? Tomorrow I'll chant additional 2 rounds. What is that? जो last 20 days में जो chanting है वो leak हो गया पूरा. I mean, I don't have those equations. How many murgas are equal to how many rounds? But I'm saying leak हो गया. And finally क्या जो आपका bank balance है वो बढ़ा नहीं. So person also is saying, see, it is, in every field for that matter. When PV Sindhu was interviewed after Olympic, she won the silver medal. She said, today I'll eat ice cream. Am I right? Yes or no? For last 4 months, she was not having any dessert, not having strict diet. It's tapasya. Why? Because if you have to reach that stage, get that, Olympic gold, you have to compromise. You cannot have everything. You cannot have dessert. You cannot have ice cream. You can have all junk food and still be at top level performing athlete. No. She was very clear. Her coach was very clear. If we have to perform at that optimal level, it demands certain rigor. Okay, if you want to just be participant in an Olympic and chalo aa gaya to theek hai, nahi aaya to theek hai, it's fine. You don't have to do that. Eat everything you want. How in the mundane material examples we have a scenario where people do follow certain regimen to excel in that particular thing. Recently, we had that Virat Kohli. He has become a vegan. He is very strict about his diets. Because they understand that, okay, if we are just very loose and eat anything and everything, anywhere, this thing, it will affect the health. If they want to be at optimal best, they have to be strict with their principles. That's true even for a material example. So that way, we can do nothing wrong. Krishna has given us the freedom. The choice is ours. Free will is ours. That's what he doesn't. Now you have a bouquet of recommendations, the do's and don'ts. You may say that whatever is easy for me to practice, I'll pick up. Whatever is not easy, why unnecessarily ruffle others? I'll leave it. Okay, I'll do this also, I'll do this also, I don't do this also, don't do this also. That's why I'm saying it requires intelligence. The more you compromise and break those principles, then you're leaking. What you're adding, it's leaking. That's why we have certain do's and certain don'ts. So don'ts are to avoid leakages. Do's are to fill it with pure consciousness. Chant 16 rounds, read this Bhagavad Gita every day. It's adding to your fuel. But if regulative principles are not followed, there are leakages. Finally, we are doing all that, but the consciousness is leaking. Net, we don't have that consciousness. And we may also wonder, मैं कर तो रहा हूँ, chanting भी कर रहा हूँ, ये भी कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन, ख्याल तो वैसे ही बुरे के आ रहे हैं. I'm still the same person, still वो materialistic thoughts आ रहे हैं. All that. Just I gave you example, PV Sindhu was very clear, okay, for this I have to follow this. Now the choices are, that's why, depending on how sincerely we make choice, that's why these many levels are there. In other words, all of us could be different species. Although we are interested in Gita, although we are interested in Krishna consciousness. I understand what you're saying. So you're saying there is a lot of distractions, lot of allurement. For example, now yes, we cannot totally avoid internet, right? But when you go on the internet, there's a lot of crap there. And out of curiosity, you might venture into it and end up with leaking your consciousness. That's your question? It's a very true. It's a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge in present times. For all of us, because sense gratification is available at our fingertips. Anything you want to see, mind can cheat and next moment you can be there. Which was not the case 15 years back. If you want to see something wrong, really struggle. So that is what advancement is, material advancement. Everything is at your fingertips, good or bad. So that's why we have to be all the more alert. All the more alert. The leakages are, every moment leakage is possible. You see a wrong television show leaked. We are trying to build a consciousness that I am a spirit soul, Atma. There are shows which is like pumping you with the understanding, you're not the Atma, you're a body. And you see that show, yes, I am the body. No, but what he's saying, content is a free will, but unfortunately what has happened is there's an element of curiosity, there's an element of temptation. So, you may not, just one link came, you trigger it and you went into a wrong place. So that is what distraction is, and that's what the danger is, which was not the case earlier. So it has both plus and minus. Earlier time, now all Prabhupada lectures, all his videos are available. So positive also is there, negative also is there. If you are properly guided and you have the right discretion, then it can be advantageous. Otherwise, it can be, it can pull you down. Any other point? Yeah, it is fanatic. For every answer, for every conversation, we don't have to bring in, to some element, we have to compartmentalize. There's something called as wearing different hats. For example, when I deal with employees, I'll wear an employer hat. I may not talk to the employees. Okay, I can always tell the employees, those who are working, that you chant 16 rounds, it's the highest thing. In the duty time, they're coming and chanting 16 rounds. No. You have come for work, you are paid for that, better 8 hours you put in your work. And yes, I might inspire you, do it after you're gone, just like anybody else is doing. So we have to not quote Bhagavad Gita, we have to be a little intelligent and discern and discriminate when, where, to whom to speak. Somebody has a willingness to listen, what time, whom I'm speaking to, what is his receptivity, we have to discern. Again, as I mentioned, lot of things can be solved by seek first to understand, then be understood. Both ways. From the Vishal's family perspective also and from Vishal perspective also. And to a large extent, it can get resolved when both of them understand that yes, different levels of consciousness is a reality. It's a reality. In the Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna, what happens to a person who treads this path but later on due to worldly mindedness does not complete the journey and gets astray, gets distracted? Have you all, this question, Arjuna? What happens to a person, just like all of us are treading this path, not everyone will achieve the end, which is going back to Godhead. Some of us, are following 1 round, 2 rounds, little bit. So what happens to that person? He doesn't complete that journey, nor he is completely into materialistic life. So Arjuna's question is he like a riven cloud? He has broken away from this piece of cloud, neither he has gone and joined this cloud. So is he like a riven cloud, neither ghar ka na ghat ka? Neither he has made advancement materially, nor he has perfected spiritually. So Arjuna's question, what happens to that person? What is Krishna's answer?
He will continue his journey in the next life.
So he says there is no loss for that person because wherever he has left, he will continue his journey from that point in the next life. He will be born in family of rich aristocracy or pious brahmanas, and next he will automatically get attracted to religious principles. See how when this program was introduced, we through various means communicated that here Gita classes are happening. Some of you got attracted, you came. Others are not attracted, not that everyone doesn't know that the classes are happening. Some are attracted, some are not attracted. So why? He'll automatically get attracted to religious principles. We are in that sense putting same effort for everyone. Somebody is chanting 16 rounds, somebody is chanting 4 rounds, somebody is not chanting. Same instruction, same effort, the same knowledge being shared. Everyone's receptivity is different. So, where were we? No, he automatically gets attracted to religious principles. That's why now in this case also Vishal is getting attracted. So family also has to, somehow that knowledge has to be this thing that, and if you want to pull that person back, you cannot pull back. Because he's at that level. Imagine now, visualize, somebody is in 9th class, somebody is in 2nd class. Can you ask a 9th class student to sit with a 2nd class student and study mathematics and he'll be very uncomfortable. Or can you expect a 2nd student to sit in the 9th class and understand what the 9th class is? He'll be uncomfortable. Just like this gross example is there, likewise in consciousness also there is a gross variation. So this understanding, ideally if it's there between both the stakeholders, family and this thing, that beyond a point I should not put obstacles in the path. Because the person he's at a stage, neither that person should, so some element of orientation, guidance, experience is required. So you're saying that a time will come where family will get reconciled, and if constant, healthy, seek first to understand is practice both from both sides, then there's a good possibility that it will resolve. Person will understand, okay, it is his, let me give that space to that person. And that person also understands that he is at that level, he or she is at that level, let me give space to that. Let me not force my convictions on that person, neither I have to completely budge and accept what the other person is expecting me to do. That requires understanding, that requires dialogue, that requires communication, and that happens if there is openness, there's a trust in that relationship. If that trust is not there and the person is quite rigid or egoistic, my way or highway, then it can also be very dangerous. So the question is, now we came to Powai, so how is it that, so there could be some sincere souls even in Ghatkopar and some other places and all that. So spiritual life that way is very dynamic. The Lord as Paramatma, as Super Soul, is always there in our heart. If we are sincere and seeking for it, He will guide us. To the extent also that you may get moved to Powai. To that extent He can make it, because Powai classes are happening, okay, chalo. You will not even know it happened with me in my life. I'll tell you. Can I share this thing with you? Have I shared this? So one time it so happened that when I moved to Bangalore, my job, the place where I used to work, was about 18 kilometers from the temple. So one day, I decided, okay, at least because I used to go to the temple here when I was doing my engineering, so I decided that I should go to the temple. And one day I started off, it took me 1.5 hours to reach that place. I changed twice the buses, and then by the time I reached, I was completely drained out of all energy. And I started at 5:30 after the office hours, and by the time I reached, it was 7:30 and completely drained. Imagine after all the day's work, when you travel for 2 hours and when you reach, what would be your consciousness? So then I prayed to the Lord. I said, "Aisa kaise hoga? I'll not be able to come. It's not practical." So then one fine day, all of a sudden, my friend tells me that there is a job opening. Have you applied? Have I shared this earlier? In the field in which I was working, there was a job opening in a newspaper, and he says, "Have you applied? You can apply." I have applied. And that friend was really intelligent. He made sure that he gave me the cutting 1 week after the last date of application. So at least there's one person who is less in the fray to get that job. And it was package was good and all that. So then I, half-heartedly, anyway, last date of application is over, I half-heartedly posted my resume, sent by email. And 2 days later, I get a call for interview. Last date of application, 1 week is over, I get a call. So I travel all the way and go for this interview. And actually, sometimes, the interview, technically, I really fumbled many places I can make out. And when it came to discussion with respect to salaries, they started questioning, okay, what's your pay package? How much you're getting currently? I had mentioned something in the resume, and what I spoke to them, there was some difference. That person openly said, you're trying to cheat us? You're trying to cheat us? You're writing something and speaking something else. Do you think we are fools? He became angry. Actually, it was not cheating. I was not trying to this thing. There's a difference between CTC and gross salary, right? CTC is what you get with all your this thing and all that, and there is so probably that was the difference. So I tried rationally explaining. So that's the CTC, including the variable, including the perks and this thing like that. This is my gross salary. That's what I am saying. This is what it is. That person is not willing to listen. You think we are fools? We don't know. Why are you trying to say that? Just want that we should give higher salary. Technically, I fumbled, and this person who is the main person heading that interview panel is talking to me like this. I was completely shattered. Nobody has spoken to me like this. Doubted my integrity. And then the interview gets over, and I come out, and my friend asked, how was it? I said, "Chalo, ho gaya. Finish. Bad memory. Better I forget." And a week later, I get an appointment letter. And I go to that company, and this company is 15 minutes walking distance from the temple. If you have seen in Bangalore where we have this hotel, Sheraton Hotel, that's the place where Kirloskar had a big office. I was working there. Imagine from Sheraton to temple if you have to walk. It's a 15 minutes walk. In those days, it was not traffic, it was not the signals and all that. So every evening, 5:15, the office used to wind up, and 5:30, I was in the temple. So the point here is, it's a very dynamic thing. It's not static thing. If we are sincere, the Lord will show us the way. Lord will guide us. The question is, are we sincere? Are we seeking? He is willing to change, provided He is willing to take 10 steps toward us, provided we take one step. But are we willing? So He will change, our circumstances will change. Sometimes, you can be in a very trying circumstances. Basis the choice we have made, the Lord has put us in that circumstances. That's how we have. So make the best you can do in that circumstances. The Lord is willing to change. So if you're saying that somebody is there, and even the Lord has made arrangements that He has sent different devotees at different places. So there are programs happening in every locality now. Somebody is sincere, will get connected. And sometimes even a sincere person doesn't mind traveling. There are families who are coming from far off places, Thane and Radhika ji, you also right now in Thane? Yeah. So there are many families who come from far off places. So he doesn't. If he doesn't drink, he'll lose his job. Maybe.
The boss may be disciplined, or at least the promotion.
I think this is my understanding. I may be wrong. I don't know how it is. These days, people do give people the space based on your food choices. For example, many people are vegans. People respect that. So you can always say, I don't drink, and have lime water, lime juice, or whatever, fresh lime, and still be part of that meeting. Okay, is he on the right track?
Yes, of course.
Is he on the right track? Okay. Should he do what his family wants and keep this spiritual journey for after 60 years?
No.
He should basically try to explain, seek their understanding also, and do his best he can to explain to them. Does he listen to his friend who say, God has made this life to enjoy, let's party by drinking and eating?
Wear different hats.
Different hats. तो पार्टी में क्या करेंगे? नहीं, पार्टी में जाके करें थोड़ा सा. हितेश जी, पार्टी में जाके थोड़ा सा, once in a while. So he is in a party where disco is going on, but earphone में Hare Rama Hare Krishna चल रहा है. Actually, to some extent, it is not wrong that you can do little bit of drama. I remember I used to go to Toastmasters. You've heard of Toastmasters? Toastmasters Club is on public speaking, where you learn and all. How many of us heard about Toastmasters? Okay. So I used to go for Toastmasters. So, again, I'm sharing, this thing. So, they were all young people there, including young girls. Now, they are in a completely different wavelength and frequency. So, they would say, "Hi, Amit, how are you?" Now, I cannot say, "I am..." So, for that duration, again, you don't compromise on the principles, but you completely cannot behave. The very fact that you have chosen there to go for some reason. अपना काम करो and वापस आओ. So during that time, there is some interaction. Again, you don't break the principles, but you completely don't sadhu की तरह बैठे एक जगह पे. I will not speak anything, I will not hear anything. You've gone there, little element of this thing is there. They also don't feel odd. Suddenly one sadhu has come and spoiled the whole mood. And you finish your business and come. When did I start doing that? It was way back in 1991. So I came in touch with ISKCON when I was in second year, but I started actively going when I was in the final year, fourth year. And then I came to Bangalore, I had a job, worked there for a few years, couple of years.
One thing I want to...
Just 1 minute, let's complete this. How can Vishal maintain both his spiritual growth and his family, friends' happiness? What we discussed. Understand, try to explain, rationalize. Yeah. So we have to understand that part. Again, the leakage is finally how much water we want. At least you should be aware that there's something which leaks, something which fills. Now, some situation you may consciously decide, okay, it's leaking, some element of leakage will be there. You consciously decide. We cannot have no leakages. So that's where intelligence is required. For example, the very fact that we are staying in a busy city like Mumbai, it's a leakage. Prabhupada was said that for us, a grass hut in the outskirts of a city next to the river is ideal. Actually, it's a sacrifice. For us to practice spiritual this thing, it's much more conducive. Prabhupada was in Vrindavan 6 years. Jai Radhe, completely. He went to Boston in a cargo ship. Not for himself. For others. Janma sartak kari karo upakar. So all of us should recognize the fact. We are not here because it is very conducive for us. It's a sacrifice. We have come here to give this message to people. There's a leakage for us. That's the sacrifice. We have decided, yes, we'll take that in stride for a higher cause. There's one very important thing which Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante. Anyone can help me with completing this? Tams tataiva bhajamiham. As you surrender, so shall I reciprocate. Surrender can be 5%. Yes, 95% मैं materially enjoy करूँगा. Okay, I'll reciprocate. Zero surrender to Krishna, 100%. Okay, that's also acceptable to the Lord. As you surrender, so shall I reciprocate. I will not force you to surrender. He will not force us to, 16 round hi karne hai. Nobody, including we, will not force. We can nudge, we can inspire, we can motivate. Choice is yours. Free will is yours. So, but as you surrender, so shall you reciprocate. So shall the Lord reciprocate. आप 4 चम्मच डालोगे चीनी, 4 उतना मिठास होगा. You will put half a spoon, it will be that much sweet. So likewise, if we want to relish that higher happiness, the higher dimension of this thing, then we will have to be little strict. वो हाफ हार्टेड थोड़ा संडे को जाके थोड़ा सा एक राउंड भी कर लिया, थोड़ा अटेंड भी कर लिया और वो भी कर लिया, वो भी चल रहा है, ये भी देख लिया, वो भी देख लिया, टीवी भी देख लिया, सब कुछ देख लिया, पार्टी में भी चले गए, वो भी कर लिया. Finally, with the divine consciousness, the reciprocation of the Lord will be missing. And to a large extent, if a person is very half-heartedly doing it, it won't last also. More so in present time because distractions is too much. There are too many things to give rasa. Rasa means what? Enjoyment. Pleasure. There are too many tempting things. It won't last also. क्या स्वामी जी बोलते हरे कृष्ण मन भी नहीं लगता, छोड़ो उसको. टीवी देखो ना, मजा आता है ना, 2 घंटे में पूरा ताजगी आ जाती है. ठीक बोल रहे स्वामी जी. So as you surrender, so shall you reciprocate. Somebody is strictly following this thing and all that, God will give that higher taste. Choice is ours. So you're saying we should not compromise on our duties, our deliverables with respect to our. So that's very important. We should not, in the name of spirituality, start underperforming in our offices. Whole day we are drowsy and the person says, "Kya hai, ho gaya isko?" So we should be a good example for others. People should see that yes, he is attending the classes and he has become a better person, a better human being. Nobody should say, after attending, see what has happened to you. That is very important. It's a disservice if we end up setting a wrong example. So everyone is placed in a favorable or unfavorable circumstances basis our choices in the past. Everyone is placed in favorable or unfavorable circumstances because of the choices who has made. The family members have made. We have made in the past. If suppose somebody's circumstances is very trying, we should understand it is my doing.
Depending on past karma.
Yes, past karma also. Past karma also. The choices you have made in the past, including your past, because of choices in the past, you've done some karma. So everyone has attracted a favorable or unfavorable circumstance. I'm just giving example. In my case, again, I'm not saying I'm great. I'm not saying that I am better than some of you. Who knows? Some of you are better devotees than me from the eyes of Krishna. Very much, I believe so. Relatively speaking, I am in a much more congenial atmosphere. If I chant 62 rounds also in a day, nobody is going to come and say, "Kitna kyun kar rahe ho?" Right? There is no television. There is no that way distraction. Everyone gets up in the morning. The whole environment is. So compared to others, I may be more. So every one of us are placed differently, favorable and unfavorable. So what we are expected, first we should not blame, do the best we can in those circumstances, and Krishna sees that and he might change the circumstances. A person is in the night shift, he has to work whole night, he cannot attend Brahma Muhurta and all those things, whatever. That is he has attracted those circumstances. This is the choices he has made in the past. Now let him do the best he can and Krishna will change. And sometimes the circumstances may take time to change. If you are married to a wrong person, you may have to wait for some. You cannot expect like a job, chhod do and next job, night shift, matlab, okay, you resign that job and take another job. You cannot easily resign. Yeah. Where there is a will, there is a way. So when I was working, I used to, during the lunch break, I used to chant. When I was working in another company, I used to, Leela Amrita, Prabhupada Leela Amrita, I used to read during lunchtime. People gossip and talk so many things, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. You finish lunch in 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and you have 30 minutes to read. It's a bona fide break. People expect 30, 45 minutes of break. So like that, we can use it time judiciously if we are sincere.